Sorry, excuse me, I still have the theme song in my head. Because, man, does this show's opening just stick with you after you watch it. It's such a good opening. I love the freaking opening of this show. So, if you don't already know by now, I am a pretty big fan of My Hero Academia. I've already reviewed, 2 seasons so far? And I've seen up to season 5, currently. So, man. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect going into this one. This being a prequel, which is usually a giant red flag. It coming out the same year as we are getting the final season of My Hero Academia. And that it is drastically different in style. As this one takes a lot more of a comic book approach than even the original MHA did. So, with all that in mind, I went into it with cautious optimism as a huge fan of MHA and being at least curious about it. Well, when I finally watched it, I had a pretty damn good time, man. This show's a lot of fun, but that doesn't mean it is perfect. It's got some problems, but it is still a pretty great season, a great first season for this new prequel spin-off show of My Hero Academia. And I'd go so far as to say that it's right up there with some of the best seasons of My Hero Academia that I've seen so far. Those being seasons 2, 3, and 4. So let's talk about it. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Station, which is for anything and everything animation, including anime, which apparently also includes a group of heroes that go beyond plus ultra to save the world, as well as TV and movies. I am your host, Jackson Small, your local MHA fan and overall anime fan. Welcome to my spoiler-free review of My Hero Vigilantes Season 1. Yes, I know it's called My Hero Academia Vigilantes, but I don't know. I just think My Hero Vigilantes sounds cooler. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But like I said in the opening, I went into this with cautious optimism, because usually with prequels, it's very hit or miss, and most of the time, it is a miss. Whether it's film or TV, doing prequels and doing them well is a very tough task. Thankfully, Vigilantes is a great example of how to do a prequel correctly. The way that it's also telling its own story while also having loose connection to what came before, because for those of you that don't know, this show takes place way before Deku and his story happened, way back in the prime years of every single pro hero. And while they're doing their job, we also have this group of vigilantes who are trying to stop this weird enhancing drug that is going around, but also trying not to kill each other in the process. So, it was fascinating, and the concept alone had me interested. I'd never heard of the Vigilantes manga, I just heard that this was getting an anime, and I'm just like, well, it's interesting, and I do like that they're going with the whole vigilante angle instead of, having a spin-off of villains or something like that, because technically from what I've heard, Season 5 of the original series of MHA already did that, so if they went in that direction, it would have just been redundant. Thankfully they didn't. They went in a completely different direction, and very much into the comic book side, because one of my big gripes of this show right off the bat is that it is a bit jarring to look at first, because yes, you can tell it's still My Hero, but the character animation, the colors, and especially the action scenes, they go very comic booky. You have comic book panels, you have panels moving in between character movements, and even then, every now and then, you get one of those bam, zap, or just those dramatic effect bubbles that you see in comics. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, it's jarring, but if you have a good story, I'm willing to give you a shot. And yeah, this has a pretty great story. It's unique, it is simple, but it is still a great story. And I do like, again, that they focused on something that the original series, at least as far as my recollection goes, did not really focus on, outside of the Hero Killer Stain arc, Vigilantes. And speaking of Hero Killer Stain, you get his origin story in here too, which is pretty freaking cool. So, I don't know how else to preference this. I've already done enough build-up. Here is my written review for the spin-off first season of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, because it is confirmed we are getting a Season 2. And after watching it, I completely understand why it's getting a Season 2. It's pretty damn good. I hope you enjoy. Here's my review. As much as I love MHA, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't worried about this one. Not just because it's yet another prequel answering questions that nobody was asking, but also because of its drastic style change to be much more like a traditional American comic book, rather than a manga, which has proven time and time again to be very hit and miss in execution both in film and television. Thankfully though, not only did this turn out to be the rare instance of a good prequel, but it's an actual great addition to the franchise. My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 1, that's a mouthful. Yeah, you see why I think My Hero Vigilantes is a much cooler name. Is a fast-paced, fun, goofy, character-driven, action-packed, hilarious, and fascinating spin-off of MHA. That is more than worth watching for fans of the show. That being said though, it's far from perfect. The slight change in style is a bit jarring at first. Some of the writing does have its dumb moments or weird lines that make no sense. It's a problem in actual MHA too, specifically in the later seasons. Spike's character development is rushed. He's the one character that I was actually invested in that wasn't the main three characters, that wasn't Koichi, Popstep, or Knuckle Duster. But they rushed his character development throughout this entire first season, and it kind of bummed me out, because I feel like, a lot like Gajeel from Fairy Tail, he could have been a very interesting and unique character if they just gave his character more time to develop and didn't rush everything. The love triangle is a bit forced. Like, there is a weird love triangle going on here between Koichi, Popstep, and Sukauchi's sister, I believe it is. Yeah, his sister. It's weird, it's forced, it doesn't really add a whole lot, and yeah, it's just weird. It's weird and it's forced. And a few side characters are very obvious design ripoffs of existing characters from other properties, specifically Marvel. Now I get that the MHA creator is a huge fan of Marvel comic books. Heck, that's why he literally turned Deku into Spider-Man by giving him Black Whip. But at the same time, there's a difference between paying homage and just being blatant. Because two of the most prevalent background goofy side characters in this show are very obvious ripoffs of Wolverine and Cyclops. Now, not in character, no, but I mean like in design, they are pretty much exactly like Wolverine and Cyclops in terms of design. And it is so blatantly obvious that it just becomes funny. But, now we get back to the pros again. Sorry, I know I dumped on it for a minute, but here are the pros. The new main characters are a delight, especially Koichi and Knuckle Duster. I love Popstep as well, but to me, Koichi and Knuckle Duster were the two big standouts. And I know Koichi's actual hero vigilante name is The Crawler, but I don't know, I think his actual name sounds cooler. That's just my opinion. The jokes are pretty funny. This is My Hero, and they are usually really great at this goofy, quirky, off-the-wall comedy. And it's no different here. This show has its fair share of hilarious moments, whether it's Koichi, Knuckle Duster, and Popstep just bickering back and forth in his apartment, or Knuckle Duster when he first meets Koichi trying to see his tongue, and you don't know the context, which is just ridiculously funny. Or just some of the characters' quirkiness, to put it lightly. Yes, I know that's a pun, but that's literally the way I can put it. The character quirkiness. Like, so much of this show is genuinely ridiculously funny. Except for Captain Celebrity. He's a terrible character and I don't like him. Seeing the pro heroes in their prime is pretty cool. Seeing characters like Midnight and All Might and Endeavor and Eraserhead all in their prime is really fascinating, because in MHA, they are really good, but you can tell that they are far past their prime, especially some like Gran Torino, for example. But in this show, since it's taking place way further back in the timeline, you get to see them in their prime at 100% fighting ability. And it's pretty damn cool to watch. Like, one of the first things that happens in this show is that Knuckle Duster gets in a fight with Eraserhead. And it's just as cool as it sounds, especially when you find out that Knuckle Duster has no quirks. But he is a drastic different character than Deku. So, it's not a ripoff, and it doesn't feel contrived. It is genuinely really fascinating. The action is still fun with some brief moments of brutality. It's not really until like the final few episodes you get some brutality, but there is still blood. This is still My Hero after all. They're not afraid to show it. But there is a lot more goofy action in this particular season, and they really go, again, all out with the comic bookiness. I already mentioned how the style changes and you have like the little sound effect bubbles whenever something happens, but you also have some cool character choreography. Each character has a very unique different movement that is very similar and unique to just that character, but is also just really, really cool. So yeah, I like the action in this show. It's just as good, if not even better, than the action in the original MHA. The writing is mostly solid, mainly the character dialogue, but some of the story writing, towards the end it can get a little convoluted. The world building is great, as it explores a new side of the conflict the main series didn't get to elaborate on, especially Stain's origin story, which in my opinion is the best thing this show did. It gives an origin story to Stain, and it makes you terrified by his character even more. The animation is fantastic. This is still My Hero, and this is still Funimation. Rewatchability is decently high. I can see myself rewatching this anytime in the mood for My Hero. The voice acting is still as excellent as it's ever been, not only because you get to hear some of these other voice actors like Elizabeth Maxwell and Christopher Sabat back as All Might and Midnight, respectively, but also all the new voices are a lot of fun too. I love Knuckle Duster, I love Koichi having similarities to Deku in his voice tone, but he's not a ripoff of Deku. He's a completely different character that just shares some similarity. And Pop Step is just a delight. She reminded me a lot of like a very edgy Ochiko. So, yeah. The voice acting is still as excellent as it's ever been in My Hero. And the finale is a lot of fun. The finale is a little bit too quick, but it's still a lot of fun. Oh, and I almost forgot, the music is fantastic. I said in the beginning of the review, but I forgot to put it here. The music's fantastic. I legit love the music in My Hero, and this is just more great My Hero music, especially the opening freaking song. One of my favorites. So, in conclusion, it's not better than the original series, but it's not entirely fair, because I made this comparison when I was reviewing Hazbin Hotel, but Hazbin Hotel is only one season, while Hello Boss is 2, soon to be 3. So it's not really a fair comparison. Whereas with this one, we have the original MHA series all the way up to its final season, Season 8, I believe. Yes, it's Season 8. Season 8 or Season 7. And this is just the first season of this new spin-off that's taking place way before anything else in My Hero actually happened. So it's not really fair to judge it on that, but once the series is overall complete, because we are getting more seasons of this, we will see where it goes and see if it does stack up to the original series in any way. But it is definitely a fascinating and very fun addition that's worth a watch for fans to get more insight into a different side of the same world. Again, I really like that they have the focus on Vigilantes in this particular show, and it adds a lot more depth to the world building. Personally, can't wait for Season 2, and I can't wait to see what's next for this franchise. And with that said, my final verdict for My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 1 is a high 8 out of 10. It's a great first season. If you love My Hero, I think you're really going to love this too. Whether it's going to be on the same wavelength as you love the original My Hero is up to personal opinion, but for me, it's a great time, it's a lot of fun, and it does wonders to the world building, and really makes me love and appreciate this world of Japanese, American-inspired anime superheroes that this has created. Not to mention, since it is starting out right as the original MHA is ending, it's going to be taking its slots after MHA ends within the next year or two. So, yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see where this prequel series goes and how its ultimate finale ends up connecting into the beginning of the original My Hero Academia. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I definitely really enjoyed this show, and I think if you love MHA, you'll love this too. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. What are your thoughts on My Hero Vigilantes Season 1, if you've seen it? Please let me know in the comments down below, but please no spoilers. And if you haven't seen it yet, please let me know why. I'd love to hear if you have any worries or grievances. Or if you have seen it and you're not super high on it, let me know. I'm always happy to hear other opinions and see what other people think of certain shows. Well, that's it, and yes, I know that this is not April anymore, but I don't care. I wanted to review this season because it's current. It literally just finished at the end of last month, so I think I gave it enough time to simmer before I finally dived into it. Alright, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review. Take care, my fellow heroes and vigilantes.
Excited for what comes up ahead.